gesagt, dass Songs von Lulu, die Lulu ist Louis Brooks aus dem Film Die Büchse der Pandora, in dem sie mitgespielt hat. Also wahrscheinlich auf Wedekind basierend, nehme ich mal an. Schwarz-Weiß-Film 1929, glaube ich. Sie ist für ihn so eine Art Schutzheilige für, sagen wir, sowas wie Schicksalhaftigkeit, Desaster, Selbstzerstörung. Und das ist was er in seiner früheren Jugend und auch so bis in die späten 20er hinein selbst teilweise betrieben hat, aber er meint, er müsse davon Abstand nehmen, um sowas wie Kunst noch neu schaffen zu können. Do you think that like art always has to be about this kind of fighting your demons and stuff like that, or is it a cliche?
Well, I mean, when you're really fighting your demons, there's nothing cliche about it, you know.
Okay.
When it's really happening, and I mean, it's easy from the outside to look at it that way, but the reality is so much more intense, and certainly, you know, I would argue that this album is probably one of my best albums, and it also coincides with, you know, the most difficult period of my life, with the death of my mother, and you can't help but draw a correlation between suffering and artistry. I mean, I wish it wasn't the case, but there is, you know, it just it happens that way. In fact, there's a very funny story where I did the show in Paris, and afterwards, the next day, I went to hang out with Marianne Faithfull in her beautiful Parisian apartment, and we were sitting there, and she loved the show very much. And then she said to me, I know what I've got to do for my next show. I'm going to pretend that something terrible happened to me. And then I'm going to make everybody quiet, and I'm going to, whatever. But her whole thing was that she was like, I must pretend that something terrible has happened to me, which is hilarious that Marianne Faithfull is saying that. But I'm like, honey, you don't have to pretend. But whatever. So, but there is, you know, when something really terrible happens, it's probably good that you write about it, because it'll probably be interesting.
Okay. Es ging nochmal darum, das alte Klischee, Künstler müssen leiden. Es geht darum, Dämonen zu bekämpfen in der Kunst. Und Rufus sagt, wenn man es selbst tut, diese Dämonen in der Kunst zu bekämpfen, dann hat es überhaupt nichts mehr von dem Klischee. Er selbst hat davon erzählt, dass seine Mutter schwer erkrankt war an Krebs, und sie ist im Januar diesen Jahres gestorben, die Folksängerin Kate McGarrigle. Und dass das sich natürlich auch in seinen Songs wiedergespiegelt hat und dass deswegen dieses Album in einer sehr, sehr schweren Phase in seinem Leben entstanden ist und aber zugleich vielleicht dadurch auch eines seiner besten Alben bisher geworden ist. Ja, ich denke, das dürfte als Erklärung reichen. On this album there's also like 3 of the sonnets you did for the Robert Wilson show. And there's a song which is from your opera.
Yes.
You wrote your first opera called Prima Donna. Why did you choose to include these songs on this album?
Well, for one thing, the sonnets, the Shakespeare sonnets I consider to be, well, they possibly the greatest things ever written. You know, there's an argument for that. The greatest piece of literature ever, and at least in my life and experience, they've had such an impact on me that I had to put them into my daily life. I mean, I had to include them in my language, you know. So if I didn't have any of them in this record, it would be I wouldn't be telling the truth about the new me, because after reading those sonnets and really studying them, you do change. So that's sort of why I put them in there. The other thing is, I mean, for instance, I was doing a show the other night, and I cry sometimes at certain parts of the show for different reasons. And the other night I was doing it, and I started singing one of the sonnets, and I just started weeping because just the words are so beautiful. I mean, they're so high, so much higher than anything that I could ever do, or I think many people. So it was, so that they're just a part of my life now. Now, Prima Donna, the aria from that is you know, I don't know. I mean, it's just a very beautiful song, and I don't know. I you know, that character has now become a big part of my life. The woman who that is, and whether it's, you know, the Dark Lady, my mother, Prima Donna, Lulu. I mean, this album is just sort of inhabited by many women. So Prima Donna is just another one of them too.
Okay.
Good luck.
That's wow. Try my best. Also er hat gesagt, also neben diesen Sonetten, die er vertont hat, hat er auch eine Oper geschrieben, die im letzten Jahr aufgeführt wurde. Die heißt Prima Donna. Und die große Arie aus Prima Donna ist auch auf dem neuen Album drauf. Und er hat gesagt, dass dieser Song einfach zu seinem Leben so dazugehört hat, weil es da auch um eine starke, tragische Frauenfigur geht, genau wie teilweise auch in den Sonetten, und dass das in seinem Leben alles eine große Rolle gespielt hat und deswegen auch irgendwie auf das neue Album gehörte. Also es gibt 3 Sonette auf dem neuen Album und ein Stück aus der Oper.
I was just thinking I could maybe make another title for the record in German. Which is, well, one of my favorite operas in German is Die Frau im Schatten.
Oh. Yeah.
You know, and that's the woman without a shadow, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But what would Die Schatten, what is the shadow of the woman?
Der Schatten der Frau.
Die Schatten der Frau. So it's
Die Schatten der Frau.
Die Schatten der Frau. So that's another name for this record. Okay, yet it now has 3 names. Okay, great.
It's a bit complicated now. And although all the titles are very complicated, you try to keep the music simple. It's just you and the piano. Why did you decide to do that?
Well, I don't know if I'd call it simple, but
Well,
I wish it was simple. But yes, I mean the arrangement is simple, but I mean the idea of just me and the instrument is simple. But it is, you know, and I think Germans especially can understand this, is that oftentimes a piano and a voice is bigger than an orchestra in what it's capable of portraying. So I think there's an argument to say that, you know, once I chose that relationship, I was even maybe getting more intense than having, you know, a band or orchestra behind me. So, because you really have to, you know, just the variety is so big. So I think it's actually more complicated.
ja, ich habe in meiner unbeholfenen Fragestellung gesagt, das neue Album sei doch sehr einfach gehalten, weil er nämlich nur mit Klavier und seiner Stimme arbeitet, aber er sagt, das sei nicht einfach, ganz im Gegenteil, und gerade wir Deutschen wüssten ja durch die Liedertradition, Schubert etc., wie schön und wie groß es sein kann, wenn man nur Piano und Stimme einsetzt. Und das hat er in diesem Fall getan. Obwohl ich sagen muss, dass es für mich auch noch eine andere Tradition auf dieser Platte gibt. Neben dieser Liedertradition ist da auch die Wainwright-Tradition auf der Platte. Er singt nämlich sehr, sehr viel über seine Familie. Und das ist was in dieser Familie immer geschah. Sein Vater Loudon Wainwright, der Dritte zum Beispiel, hat ganz großartige Songs sowohl über Rufus geschrieben, teilweise auch schmerzhafte Songs über Rufus geschrieben, über seine Schwester Martha geschrieben, über seine Ehe geschrieben. Da werde ich jetzt nochmal nachhaken.